people have touched me through my life, and it's like the Ron Sheltons, kind individuals that were really talented. So it showed me you don't have to play any kind of games with people. When you're good at something, you make everybody else better around you.
Hey, let me do an intro. Folks, I have on a man today that I've not known a long time, but we feel like we've been brothers from different mothers. We just click. His background is crazy amazing. I could print out 5 pages of everything he's done, from close to playing in the NBA to 40 movies and 20 TV shows and Presidential Medal of Freedom and on and on. And you're working on producing a movie. But I'm just so excited to have you on the show today, and welcome.
Boy, it's really good to be here, Brad. I mean, I've been wanting to meet you for a long time, and this is a great way to kind of kick things off.
I agree. Your past is so special. Our podcasts are about the underdog. People never giving up. Those are the stories I really like, and you are the ultimate underdog who never gave up. Don't tell me I can't do it, because I'm going to do it. And, one defeat put you back, but yet took 2 forward. And you never let anybody get you down. Well, you may have for a time, but man, you just had that positive attitude.
Thank you.
Some of you may not know it, but CYLK performed in White Man Can't Jump with Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, and what a great movie.
That movie changed my life, by the way.
Did it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Working with Ron Shelton, the great writer-director who did Bull Durham and Blaze with Paul Newman. I mean, Ron Shelton's I can't tell you enough about him. He's just a genius and a kind soul. Treats everybody on the set like they're the president. Nobody is different, you know what I mean? And I learned that. I learned that from him. And I try to do that when I'm on a set. You treat the people cleaning up the same as you do the people that funded the movie. There's no reason why you should treat them any different.
Yes.
And I learned that early.
Now, you said that you were playing basketball at the YMCA in Hollywood, and Ron was playing.
Right.
And you go to interview for White Man Can't Jump, and all of a sudden he's there, and you didn't even know he was a director.
Right. I just knew him, Ron, from the gym. He was in his 40s, I believe, at the time. And we called that old then.
Oh, gee.
The old guy in the 40s, I got him until he started playing. He played like, John Havlicek. I mean, he was like Rick Barry. He was playing like that. He was unbelievable. Nobody could stop him. And so every time we were at the gym, I was like, where's Ron? Where's that guy Ron at? So by the time I had my audition for White Man Can't Jump, I show up and he's sitting behind this big desk with 12 20th Century Fox executives all in suits right over there staring at me. And I'm like, God, this guy looks familiar, because people look different in a basketball shorts and sweaty and all that than you do in a meeting, at a 20th Century Fox meeting. And finally I went, I think I said something like, do you all know how he's a great ball player? He needs to be playing, So it was funny. He realized I didn't know he was the same one. Because, people tend to treat people differently. When you're playing ball, if they find out you got a movie deal, they're going to do things. Yeah. So no one knew he was Ron Shelton that did Blaze and Bull Durham and all those great movies before we did White Man Can't Jump. So, yeah, that was an experience.
What's your most memorable scene out of that movie?
I believe when Wesley Snipes and I obviously played a trick on Woody as if we didn't know each other. And I had to go back to Wesley, Woody had to go back to Wesley to get the money back because Rosie Perez didn't want him losing all that money. So they come back, and that was such a fun part. But I think the most one was when I got to actually play, you know, and we had a lot of things choreographed. You know, you have to choreograph those shots. And once we finished doing those, I just asked Ron, I said, Ron, let me do one that where, I mean, Wesley's supposed to not be able to guard me, right? He goes, right. I said, well, just have him guard me. I said, have him guard me. He can't guard me. So, and he said, okay. So we just turned the cameras on, and Wesley was nervous. He was like, hey, wait a minute. Yo, what's going on, man? I said, just play. And that was the scene that it stayed in the movie. And I didn't tell Woody I was going to kiss him on the cheek afterwards, like the mafia does when you're going to kill somebody. You're like, mwah! Woody said, I'm just glad I didn't turn around like that. I couldn't believe how big that movie was.
You were talking about after White Man Can't Jump, you went to Africa.
Right. And I was so shocked that the pilot comes up to me. We're in Kenya. The pilot said, "Oh, white men don't jump. Oh, yes, go back to SeaWorld." I went, you know? I said, you know me? He goes, oh, yeah. And I just couldn't believe how big that movie was. And we had it ready to go to the theaters. And then the Rodney King situation happened. And there was a curfew on the whole LA. You couldn't go outside after 6 o'clock.
Oh.
And the movie was just stopped. That movie was ready to go, and it took 3 to 5 months before it was released. And finally it was released. Yeah, that was something.
And
it was kind of frustrating.
You had that great story with you're in conspiracy theory with Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts. And you said your trailer on the back lot was between Mel and Julia's trailer, and you spent 3 months getting to know them.
Right. What great artists they are. Julia Roberts is really special. Mel is too. And you learn a lot. These are the biggest actors in the business. You know, I think Julie was making 20 million a movie, and Mel was making 20 million a movie. I had a couple of dollars and 50 cents in mine. So no, but Julia especially is so, what's the word? She's a team player. There was a scene where she knocks me out. Well, Mel knocks me out.
Oh, I read where she was afraid to hit you, but then she did knock you out.
She knocked me. She did. I was out for a few seconds, but I didn't think she was. I didn't think she could hit me where she hit me. She actually said to Dick Donner, to the director, she said, "Dick, I can't. I'm not good at pulling the punch, you know." And he said, "Well, if Silk doesn't want to do it, we want it." And I said, "Come on, now you're not gonna hurt me. I'm an athlete. You ain't gonna hurt me." She reared back. Bam. I saw stars for about 3 seconds, and I was laying down. Thank God I was laying down because nobody could see me. And then I came to as she was saying her lines. And that's the one they used. I mean, when I get up, I'm like, wow, everybody's sorry. And the whole day, the rest of the day, I used a big old ice bag and carried around on my head like I was really hurt, you know. And Julia goes, "I'm so sorry, Silk. I'm so sorry." I said, "No, it's okay. Don't worry about it." and Mel's a prankster. He got me and Julia at the same time. He brought in a gift in a box, all with a bow, and he came to my dressing room. He says, "Hey, Silk, let's go over to Julia. I got a little something for us." From the guys to the leading men to the leading girl. I went, "Oh no, I didn't bring anything. I didn't know." He said, "Oh, it's tradition. Me and Dick Donner like to do that with our." I said, "Oh, I wish I'd have brought something." He goes, "No, I got this for both of us." I went, "What a nice guy. What a great guy," right? We knock on Julia's door. She comes out and she goes, "Guys, what are you doing?" And she said, "Come in." And I'm all proud, like I got the gift too. She tears into it. And there's another box smaller. Tears into that one. Nothing in there. Tears into that one. And then she screams the most horrific scream in the world. It was a freeze-dried rat. Mel had put in there. And Mel's dying on the floor. He's like, ah. And I'm looking at Julia going, I
Was it
didn't know
my
that.
gift? It was my gift. Now it isn't.
That's it. Oh, but anyway, that was and Julia, she held that against me for a couple of days. She was like, "I know you were in on that." Oh, no, I didn't know. But Mel does it to everybody. He tried to put a roach in my potatoes one day at lunch,
Oh,
but I saw him. So when I went back to my plate, I ate everything but the potatoes because I saw him do it. It was, like little roaches, little candy roaches. It looked real to me, So I was like, dang. Anyway, it was a blast working with those guys, and it was. You spend 3 to 6 months on a set with somebody, you get to know them, good side, bad side, crazy side, fun side.
well, your
You know,
passion was basketball,
yes,
and through God circumstances, you
yeah,
broke your foot, and
fractured with
is
boy.
that what kind of set you back, and you had to say, you know what, I'm gonna have to make a change.
Well, what I could only think about basketball from high school to college, on. I went to college for basketball. I tell people,
Yeah, I
you know,
did too.
you know what I mean. So,
Yep.
but you know what they say: C's get degrees. No, but no, I did okay, but it
Oh
was
my.
it was very hard. College was a hard,
Oh,
hard life for me. Were you?
I
Uh,
went to a
Ricketts?
boys' prep school, which was kind of my college, and then I get to University of Maryland to run.
Oh, right.
I just kind of imploded because I had no structure, and I started making it to the top, and I'm like, I could see the top of the mountain, and it, like, why do I want to keep running 20 miles a day? And when I gotta find something I really like to do.
And I think you did.
Yeah.
I think you did, brother.
Now you have with Rick, another one of your partners, uh,
Rick Clark, the
yeah,
great Rick Clark.
amazing individual too.
Yes. Former NASCAR owner, former
Yep.
NFL agent, and then we partner.
Oh, okay. Okay. From that, you developed a brand called Country Roads from the song by John Denver.
Just happened to have a country
Oh,
rose.
that,
Just
oh,
happened to it just to be.
amazing. It could win awards for just the best logo. Uh,
Oh,
I,
thank you.
I mean, it's the commercial. You got a lot going on.
Yes, sir.
So,
God's good.
what's your passion, right? What is your main thing right now?
It's in tiers. The first tier is I like, and I absolutely not like, I love meeting people. And if I'm able to inspire them
Uh,
in any kind of way, I look for that spark in
yeah,
certain people, in everybody. You
yeah.
can meet a homeless person and there's something in those eyes,
Uh,
and it's something about them, that is wonderful. And if you
yeah,
spend enough time with people, you find those things out. So that number one was I felt that I can inspire people by the things that I've been through. People have touched me through my life, and it's like the Ron Sheltons, that and Dick Donner, and all those people were kind individuals that were really talented. So it showed me you don't have to play any kind of games with people. When you're good at something, you make everybody else better around you. There's a way to do that, and to me, that's what I really crave that. You know,
with
I
your
crave.
talent, you could have gone either way. You could have been arrogant, but you saw people who were successful, who were kind and compassionate. But I
I
don't
said, I
think,
want that. I want that.
yeah,
I want to be like that. You
yeah.
know,
I believe also what cultivates that fertile soil of humility are trials in life. And knowing that at anything, anytime, things can blow up.
like that, just like that. But if you haven't experienced those things, most people, if they don't experience it, they don't really get it sometimes. You know, they don't really feel. And that's why I think people remember how you make them feel as
Uh,
opposed to what you said so much.
yep.
At least that's been my experience, and it just keeps growing. And my dad used to say, "Well, you can learn from a fool," and I used to think, well, that don't make no sense, Dad. You know, of course, I didn't say that don't make no sense.
Hey, you'd
I
be
said,
waking up on the floor.
yeah, exactly. And then I'm like, I don't know why but but he said you can learn what not to do, what not to say. And it's how you say things, not so much what you say. You can tell somebody you love them in a lot of different ways. And as
Yeah,
an actor, as a director, it's not, you can say it 100 different ways, but how do you feel? The however you feel determines how it comes out. Because if you feel like
yeah,
you don't really love them, you go, I love you.
yeah,
Or you can say, you know what? I love you. Period.
yeah. There, yeah,
And it's same words.
yeah,
So it's not
yeah.
the words don't dictate us. We
Right.
dictate how the words go. So those are the things. And I like to share those things with the upcoming people that are young and older. There's all ages in this industry, as you know. That to me, I'm in the playground right now. I'm on my playground.
Well, you said you got the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
It was for humanitarian award, the Global Humanitarian Award. Somehow, President Biden at the time, had gotten information on me and whoever else was up for that award. I didn't even know about it. And they trail your history from the time you're a child to present time. And they thought I was, a good candidate. So I got it. So that was a blessing and just something that like you look. I don't gloat over awards. I put them there, appreciate them. You know, you got to make sure you appreciate things like that. But I don't wear them. You know, some people wear them, wear their title. I'm Dr. Cozart
Yeah.
here. You're like, but who are you? you what are you about? Like you asked the question, what is your passion? So that's a great question. I mean, I think most people have a few things they love, but they might not know their passion. And once you discover that, I think that's when we really fly in whatever we're doing. I think.
Yeah, I don't think we ever start out to get awards. If they come, they come. And I remember, a running career, had a lot of trophies and did Ironman events and
Oh,
had medals. And
hey, I admire that. That's seriously, I running, man. That's
and one day I threw all my trophies out,
really
every one of them, because
threw them away.
you threw them away in the trash. Because I felt like I didn't want them to be an idol over the Lord. I didn't want to look at them and look back. I wanted to look forward. I don't miss them a day. I have a Hall of Fame plaque, sculpture, bronze sculpture, at the school where I went. And, I didn't start out running to get in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I got blessed to be in it, but I don't even know where the plaque is now. And I did say, I didn't throw that one out, but I could not tell you where it's at. I think looking forward instead of glory days.
The great Jim Brown, he
Oh,
passed away not too long ago. He was like a dad to me in LA.
really?
Yes. What a wonderful human being and very intelligent. And if you talk to Jim Brown, you can't just you can't just talk. It's got to be some merit to it. I told one of the young guys I hired for my company just to be a driver, he would drop me off at Jim's house and I'd say, come and get me at such a time, And after a while, he's kind of noted. He said, I'd really like to meet Jim Brown, And I said, okay. I said, but I'm gonna tell you something. You can't just have a frivolous conversation. You better have something to say, or you're gonna look kind of stupid. I said, he's really intelligent and he loves engaging in conversation. Well, did the guy listen to me? No. He drops me off and I said, you want to meet Jim? Come on in. So I bring him in. We're in Jim Brown's living room. You can he oversees LA. So my friend's name was Craig. And so Craig goes, Jim Brown, we're sitting there. It's just us three. And all of a sudden, Jim says to Craig, he goes, Craig, he says, why are you with Silk? Tell me. And Craig goes, oh, he's a great guy, and he's just really kind, and I learned some things. And he goes, no. Why are you with Silk? And that boy, he turned about 16 shades. And I thought, I rescued him. I kind of went in and I tried to tell him. But you reminded me of Jim Brown when you said that about the trophies. You walk in Jim Brown's house, the front door opens up, and you go down this hallway, and he's in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, is the greatest football player ever lived. Especially the greatest runner. And I mean, he played for 9 years, never missed a game, never got hurt.
At a time where football was football.
Real football. He had, I think, one face mask one time. And but you know what he does? So I'm walking in for the first time. I'm thinking I'm going to see all these trophies. And, he was most valuable player in the NFL for 3 years in a row and all this stuff. You don't see one trophy in his house. You know where they are? He puts them in the pool house, down, outside, down. He's got them all over in this one little area. The only picture he has of his wife and his kids and other people's pictures. I was kind of shocked, and I asked him, after a few times being around him, I said, Jim, I noticed that most people notice that you don't have any your photos or any trophies in your house. I said, why is that? Tell me that. He likes pointed questions, like just right there. He loves that. And he goes, well, that's an interesting question. And I'm thinking, uh-oh. And he says, I don't like living in the past. And they remind me of the past. I appreciate them, but I don't need to see them.
Yeah.
I don't need that. He said some athletes need to see that every day.
Yeah.
And maybe that's good for him, but I don't.
Wow.
Those are the two things. I asked him two questions when we got really friendly. And the other one, I say, why do you always, every time I see you get tackled, you look like you were like 90 years old, getting like they just killed you, like they just hurt you. He goes, that's exactly right. I want them to think that they hurt me. So the next time they try to hit me, I'm running over them. What a concept. Isn't that great?
It was tough to bring him down. He was like a steamroller up.
6'2", 235, and ran. It was fast. Like Richard Pryor had a joke. He says, Jim Brown's got to be the best runner because he played when wasn't no brothers blocking for him.
Hey, so tell me about your new movie.
Inherit the Land. A true story. It's a very, it's a different story. It's why I wanted to take it on, because it's a story you don't hear about. You always hear about slaves and all white people had slaves and all that stuff, which is totally not true. So I wanted to find something that where, it's a part of history and where we can wow. I wanted to wow, Well, these two ladies that lived during the Jim Crow era, and, that lasted over about 100 years, from the 1800s to 1960, 1950s. Well, they were left by their family, 1,000 acres in this area called Marvin in North Carolina, a little town called Marvin, not far from Charlotte. And they were left that everything. They were the wealthiest people probably in the state, probably equal to billionaires today. But then, so the two sisters, they couldn't have children for medical reasons. So they adopted. But right before they adopted, there was this almost a law, but it was a trial that the American government wanted to see if a white family adopted a black child, they thought that child would still be representative of their stereotypical black person that they had at that time, because right after slavery. So, which was totally obnoxious way of thinking and very ignorant on the American government's point. But so they adopted this 4-year-old black child that didn't have a family, raised him in their home. Now, this was where black people couldn't go into stores. They couldn't go into any schools. And that's why black colleges were made, because they
Oh,
wasn't allowed to go into Harvard or Yale or Tennessee or wherever until a certain time. So this young boy was raised by them and learned everything. He learned how to run a 100-acre farm. He learned how to. They had 800 acres was left to these two ladies. Well, when the boy grew up, he met a girl. They got married, had a little girl, but the mother died, and they still. Now this was in the late 1800s, like going into 1910, 1915.
wow.
This little girl grew up. Her father died, so these two ladies, they kept raising his daughter as their own. They would bring her into all the big stores, walking in with her
Oh,
in their hand. Everybody would go, "You can't have black people in here." You know, they and then, so they would just buy the store if they wanted to. No, they treated that child just as
oh,
exactly. They didn't have slaves, you know, and it wasn't to make a point. They couldn't have children, so that was who they wanted to adopt. Well, when they died, they left 800 acres to her. She was in her 20s at that point. And the story takes place from the time that they adopted her father to the time that they passed. So it's about a little over 100 year. So in 1920, America, the system allowed women to vote. Can you believe that? So the trial of this beautiful family was that you couldn't leave land to black people. But this trial, 12 white men in the jury, women weren't allowed to serve. So these 12 white men allowed their will to happen. And boy, you talk about a forest of people that were related to these two ladies. 100 of them, of the relatives, stormed the courthouse in the courtroom. It lasted for a couple of weeks. The court allowed them to give the 800 acres that was left to them.
12 white men
Yes,
agreed.
in 1921. In fact, black people couldn't even go into the courthouse.
Truly. Now, when you say a bunch of people ran forward,
100.
was part of they were happy that happened.
No, 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 no. These were relatives. 100 of the relatives.
Oh, they wanted the land.
They wanted their land. But they never visited the ladies. They never visited their cousins.
Ah.
And here's the thing. I didn't use actors for these characters. I used the relatives of these ladies and of the girl and her father.
Oh.
Because I wanted it to be, I didn't want anybody to act. I just wanted them to react to the story.
Ooh.
In fact, one lady who owned a theater, I had her play one of the ladies that gave the land. And she was like, Silk, no, I don't think so, honey. I will mess it up. I said, you'll be perfect. And Gene Stowe wrote the book Inherit the Land over 20 years ago. And he had a lot of problems with it because nobody wanted that to come out. They didn't want people to think that Marvin is still like that. So we actually, while we were filming, they tried to shut us down. We shot at the actual courthouse that was still there.
Really?
We shot at the actual house where they lived. Those are like museums now. And the next day they were going to change the courthouse, and we got there in perfect time. And they tried to say we could only have 6 people in the courthouse. Now I had 10 people on my crew: the cameraman, the lighting, me, the director. What about the people in the 12 people in? Couldn't have. So I had to be. You talk about praying. I was praying. Lord touched everything. I think, because I said I'll do some close-ups and I'll do this and I got a great artist to draw the people. I would refer to the drawings while the voice was still going on, like the judge was talking. They drew a picture of him, and it is the most creative entity to try to make happen, because we had 120 something people there ready to go into the courthouse, and we couldn't let them. They couldn't go, and we had to turn them away. But I made sure they got paid, and
Wow.
yeah, it was a challenge. The
Much
artists that
like they experienced 100 years ago.
I had them in that actual wardrobe. My producer Jim Johnson, who wonderful guy. He was in Desert Storm, by the way, so he's been through a lot of things. He and I went to I don't know how many different places to try to find 1920 attire, and then it had to fit these actors. So that was a challenge in itself. I
Wow.
wanted the real. And in fact, I appear in it just kind of a person. I come in, talk, moving the story along, and the characters in the movie, they don't see me, but the audience sees me. I mean, I'm there, but they act like they didn't see me. And I say, okay, now the trial is going to happen because this happened or that happened, and then we go to the trial. So again, we can only have 6 people there.
You playing the piano.
Oh,
Now, was that part of the movie?
well, it ended up being the theme song. I couldn't, have you ever had something in your head when you're sleeping and you just can't
Yeah.
get it out? Okay, it's like an ongoing, well, I had this thing. It was like, it was just something. And I'm not a piano player per se. I mean, I'm banging a little bit. I mean, you can't say, play this and I'll play it. No, I can't do that. But I'm a drummer. And I thought, let me just put something together. And these words kept coming out. And it's nothing but the grace of God that happened.
Yes.
Because I couldn't have done that. There's no way. I got up at 3 or 4 in the morning and just started on the piano, just playing, that sound. And I got the sound. And I got where I could play it. And we recorded it, sent it in, and people said, this should be a single. I was like, whoa, I don't know about that. But anyway, let's see what the people say. Inherit the land.
In North Carolina. So that is the theme song?
Yes. We play it at certain times, and throughout the movie, just only certain things you'll hear. You might just hear like 1 or 2 notes, or you might hear just, one little thing. But I made it throughout the film, and I started it, and I bookend the movie with it, and it seems to work. We won best original documentary in the Hollywood Weekly Film Festival out of, I don't know, it was about almost 1,000 entries. So we're blessed.
You could pull it up and watch it on streaming, or
we just signed a distribution deal. So
cool.
Actually, the distributor called and said, could you add 10 minutes to it? They said, we'll take it as it is because we like it. It's non-seasonal. You can play it Christmas and New Year's or whenever. You can play it anytime because it's more history. I wanted it to be more of a historical thing. Again, these are not actors. They're relatives, either great-granddaughter, great-grandsons, or nieces and nephews. Wow. Oh, but the lady that owned the theater that I had play Maggie, which was one of the ladies, she found out through the movie process that her grandfather was one of the 12 men in the jury.
Whoa.
I put that in the movie too, because I bounced back and forth to interviewing the people that were in the movie. So I wanted to do something different. Yeah. I didn't want it to be the same old. I didn't want to look. I had people call me and say, Silk, you ought to look at this documentary on da-da-da-da. It's something like you do. And I said, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want anybody to say, oh, he took that from that movie or he did that. I don't know that movie. I don't want to know that movie.
Or to be jaded to a certain genre or whatever.
Our minds go there. So I didn't want to start it. But yeah, I really appreciate the people that they gave everything, it was very emotional when people would, because there was actual court documents. I made some lines up in between lines to make it make sense, but just about 90% was exactly what was said at that courtroom.
Wow.
I know.
It's like those sisters didn't see color.
They didn't. And it's like they never talk. In fact, there's one scene where their cousin was visiting from the north and comes in, and it was when the young boy that they adopted, he was in his 20s, and he had his daughter with him, she was like, maybe 7 or 8. Well, the cousin doesn't know that. All of a sudden during the scene, they're saying, so how have you been? And they're talking. All of a sudden, he comes in with wood, and he says, oh, Miss Maggie, what would you like for me to do next? And she looks at her like, You let a black man in your house? In your house? Really? But without saying it. We see that. And of course the two ladies were like, "Oh, isn't it just a delightful thing?" Like there's no, there's no race. What are you talking? What do you mean? We're vessels, aren't we?
Yes, 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 we are. If we allow.
Yeah, that's the key.
Wait, a lot of times we get in the way.
We think we did it.
Or we think God's taking us somewhere, and all of a sudden, oh, I know where he's taking me. And we
Yeah.
run ahead, and it's, why can't we rest in
Oh,
where we're at?
it's hard when you have other elements around you that go against everything that we feel. That's the hard part to me. But that's okay. I don't mind that. I don't
I
mind
think
it at
there
all.
should be a statue of the two sisters.
I
Uh,
agree.
that is,
I agree.
I think that's going to
That's a
blow
great.
up.
That's a great idea.
I
That's a
think,
great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
I think it's going to blow up that movie and bring light to uh,
Yes.
a country that has been so divided on so many areas. How can you live without seeing color?
It's okay. To see color. It's not okay to make one
There needs to
dominant.
be statue. I mean, there needs to be a monument, a statue of what
Thank you.
they did.
We're gonna fight for that one. I want to do that. Let's talk. We'll talk about that off camera.
Okay. What would you like to leave with people? And what's one thing?
I would say, please don't judge people until you've had conversations with them, till you know their history, because the person you think that might not have anything might be able to be that one person to give you some advice you've been looking for, uh, or some help, or just uplift you in some way. So I would say, that we have more in common than we don't, and have
Ah,
empathy. Those
ah.
are the things I would leave. Empathy is gone these days, and I think that could be. We need that right now.
Well, you said something pretty profound. We have more in common than we do not, but
Absolutely.
we focus on the do not instead of what we do have in common. I mean, that's the
That's true.
and we aren't open to other people's uh,
Yeah. Don't
views.
you think? Yeah, don't you think that's when you grow, when you meet different people from different races,
Oh,
different
oh,
ages. I mean, I would talk to someone, a 7-year-old, and I would talk to a person 98. There's these two brothers, one's 98 and the other one's 95, and he refers to him as his younger brother. It's funny. And and they were I asked them a question that I already knew the answer, but I wanted to see it and hear it. And I wanted people to feel that from this almost 100-year-old man that played with them back in the day. He was there, and he says, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he would say, I asked him, the question was, so only black people pick cotton, right? Now I knew that wasn't true, but you hear people ignorance all around, and just this is for the ignorant people that think that. So he said, he looks right and he goes, "Oh no," he said, we all pick cotton. We all, pick greens out of and took the tomatoes off. If you need something, you go get it. I love this man. Fell in love with these two guys, and he passed away before the movie was completely done. But I was able to show him I cut something together so he would see that, and he cried and he said, "Thank you
well,
for respecting our families and all these other families." He said, "We thought no one would ever." So he went to his grave happy, and that makes me happy.
oh,
I don't want to.
oh.
I don't want to get emotional, but
That's eternal, man.
that's something that
Uh,
you can't.
no, no,
You can't just make that.
or redo.
Oh no.
You did, and there was one other thing I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
You and Robert Redford create
Oh,
Sundance?
Robert Redford, Bob, as he told me to call him, a genius and a very kind man to people. and to animals. I learned so much being around him. I was there for about 6 weeks, and I was only supposed to be there for a week. We were doing a trial right before he created Sundance. So 2 actors, a director, a producer, the writer, the cinematographer, and 1 assistant. So 7 people per project. Each project with their own people attached to it. And I was attached to a project called Stagger Lee. It's an old story, I think from Louisiana or somewhere. You know, it's a song, Stagger Lee shot Billy, you know, that. And Oliver Stone was the director. So all these different people were at this beautiful place in Provo. Well, it was in actually Sundance. It's actually an area where, and Robert Redford had, I think, like 2,000 acres, and horses ran like dogs. They didn't have, never had a saddle on them, never had a bit in their mouth. I said, all these, I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, but, and me being from Tennessee, I always got a walking stick, right? I always have a walking stick with me. I got one now. Let me show you. Wait a minute.
With your surgery, that's right.
Yeah, and this. So this is my. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like Moses. Yeah.
That's what Bob called me. He said, and Moses leads them to the, and he would do that, and he said, Silk, what's with the stick? And I said, this is the first week I was there. I said, well, hey, there's bears around here. Might be some bears. He went on the floor laughing. He goes, ain't no bears around. Ain't no bears around here. And I said, well, you never know. He could have got in here somehow. He said it might be a couple of wildcats and all that, you know, and all the other things. Ain't no bears around. So that was our thing. And he created Sundance Film Festival out of our lab that we were experimenting with.
Wow.
And to see that and to witness that and to be there that long and watch him and other people, you know, I got to meet D.B. Sweeney. I got to meet Peter Weller. Jodie Foster was an actor in one of the 7 projects. No one knew a lot of the people. Rae Dawn Chong was my co-star. She was the lady that I was supposed to have the relationship with. I was Stagger Lee. And meet Oliver Stone.
Oh.
Alan Divier, the great cinematographer, he shot E.T. I mean, I would have never been able to meet these people. And how I got there, it was Denzel. They called me. Denzel Washington called me and said, there's a lab going on in Utah, Robert Redford's property. He has like this film lab he wants to do. And I was invited, and I told him I can't come, but I know who can. And I said, you told him about me? Because he's the one that told me about White Men Can't Jump.
That's right.
Not to digress, but we were playing ball on the weekend when I moved to L.A.
And he was getting ready to do Malcolm X.
He was, exactly. I said, well, what's the name of this movie? He said, White Men Can't Jump. I was like, I hope that's a comedy. He said it is. So when I went to the audition, like I was saying earlier, I see Ron Shelton back there, and I was like, why does he look familiar? That's Ron from the gym. And Ron said to me, look, we wrote it for Denzel. Denzel turned it down, and he told us about you. And he said, I don't have to see him play. I already played with you. And that's how that happened. And Tom Cruise came in to read with me. It was #1 movie in the world.
Why did Tom Cruise come in to read?
Because they didn't know if he could play basketball or not, or how he would be with this type of movie. Top Gun was the #1 movie in the world at that point. I mean, so Tom comes in. They didn't tell me who was coming in. I was the one that everybody was reading with. So Denzel was calling me every day. You got it, baby. This is yours. You know this is yours, baby. You know, you got it. You got it. You got it. So I'm like, I'm starring in a movie with 20th Century Fox, but I don't know who else. Well, Tom Cruise comes in. He wasn't a basketball player per se, you know? So they didn't use Tom, you know? The next day, Keanu Reeves. I'm reading with Keanu Reeves. And he really wasn't a basketball player. What a sweetheart, though. What a great... Both of them were really cool guys. And then Ron Shelton says, I don't know what these guys were doing, but growing up, but it wasn't playing ball. He says, I'm going to Chicago to meet with John Cusack. John Cusack could open a movie at that time. Nobody knew who I was. I couldn't do it. And he said, if John works out, he says, we're going with you and John. I was like, great. I was like, John, please be able to play basketball, please. Man. Well, Ron said he took him to lunch, and right after lunch, there was a basketball court on the side of the street. So he said, let's go shoot around. He said he shot around. He says, he came back and called me and said, all right, let's go to lunch. He took me to lunch. He said, didn't work out with John. So I said, wow, there's three of the biggest stars out there. I said, so what are we going to do? He goes, well, we have to go find somebody else or I can't use you. He said, the studio won't go with you. It was a $25 million budget. Nobody knows who you are. He says, I know. He says, I'm going to fight for you to the last second. I said, okay. That's why me and Ron are close now. Well, he next thing I know, he calls me, he says, all right, can you come in tomorrow? Yep. I came in. Woody Harrelson walks in. So it's me and Woody going back and forth. And at one point, Ron told me to throw the script down, and just ad lib, just go off. And that's my thing. I love that stuff, And I did that with Keanu. I did it with Tom Cruise. Tom was really good with that. Keanu was like, dude, wait a minute. But it was great. But with Woody, we kept going back and forth. It was the funniest guy I ever seen. When it got to him, I said, hey, white man can't jump. And he goes, well, black men can't swim. So what? Everybody in the room, all the 20th Century Fox cracked up. Ron was on the floor. I'm dying laughing. I couldn't even continue. And it was just, it was me and Woody. That's what they were going with. Well, Joe Roth, who was running the studio or was the executive at that time at Fox, who was friends with Ron, he said, we can't go with Woody and Silk. And Ron goes, what do you mean? They're perfect. They're perfect. And Silk plays at a level that I don't have to do any tricks. I can just watch him play and he can dunk. I could shoot. I could do all that stuff. But actors don't really do that. And they said that Woody's a fifth star on a television show. He doesn't have a film cue yet. I mean, he did Wildcats in the 80s with Wesley. That's how they knew each other for years ago. And he said, nobody knows who you are, so they're not going to put $25 million in the film that with two like that. And I went, so it was nothing I could do. So he came to me and he said, we're going to have to use Wesley. And I said, for what role? He said, for Sydney. And that's when I was like, what are we going to, what? Is that the way it works, Ron? Is that the way the studio just like that? He goes, yeah. He said, but I'm going to do a little something else. I'm going to make sure you get the money that you were going to get as the lead, as a co-lead. You're going to be a co-star in here. And I'm going to write more of a character. So, and all your scenes are going to be with Woody and Wesley. So you can't be edited out. That's what he said.
Wow.
That's what Ron Shelton did for me. I got the money that I would have made if I was the star of that movie because we'd already negotiated the money. I had never made that much in my life. And Ron made sure I got it.
Wow.
Nobody knew who I was. I mean, I did School Days before that, but that was in, 88, 87 and 1987, 1988. And I wasn't the lead. Larry Fishburne and Giancarlo Esposito and Tisha Campbell, they were all leads. And I was, on the fraternity, but I hadn't had a lead role or anything yet. But Ron fought for me for that. And that's what happened. And it changed. When I said at the beginning, it changed my life. From that point on, once that movie became the #1 movie in the country for months. And I didn't have to audition. I like auditioning, but I would go in and they said, there's a movie called Blue Chips. And it's Shaq's first movie. And I was like, the 7'1" guy from Louisiana, from LSU, because he hadn't played any pro ball yet.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of it, how God put you on a YMCA team. He got to see your character, your real character, not Who am I? Because
Right.
well,
I mean, Ron, I played over a year against Ron Shelton. Didn't know he the same guy. Nobody says, "Oh, that's Ron Shelton." That's Ron. And Bull Durham was it's probably the best sports movie I've ever seen.
oh, that
You
was
could actually
that.
smell the locker room when they got the paper saying they didn't make the team.
Yeah.
You could smell that locker room. And Kevin Costner was not even considered. And Ron told me, and Kevin actually told me with Ron, we all had drinks. He says they didn't want Kevin because they didn't think he was athletic. He didn't look athletic. But Ron said we took the studio out on the baseball field and had Kevin hit for him. He was hitting from left, right, down the middle. He would actually call and say where he's going to hit it. And same with golf, Tin Cup.
Oh,
He was a great golf, and what a great movie.
oh.
But anyway, that's I just love Ron Shelton. He's just a great human being. A great human being. I learned so much from him. Still am. I call him Chief because he's the chief.
Well, it has been an honor having you on today. We're going to talk so much more. And
We got stuff to do.
Brother. And I
Thank you.
appreciate all your time today. And you're a great man and a great friend.
You are as well, brother. And thank you for having me. And God bless you. And your audience is just getting bigger and bigger. I was like, wow, he's got thousands. That's wonderful. God bless you.
Yeah.
May he continue to bless you.
Thank you.
And thank God for Kitty Sears
yeah.
that introduced us.
Yeah.
The book I'm writing, she's in it because she was Marvin Gaye's assistant for like the last 7 years. So it's called Marvin, My Brother. It's coming out in a few weeks. I'll send you one.
Kitty, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kitty.
Yeah. You take care and thank you again.
Yes, sir.
See you, Silk.
A pleasure.
Thank you for listening today. Quite a segment. Please subscribe to our channel so you get all the latest updates and you can see all the past great stories of people who have overcome. I'm Brad Henry. Thank you for tuning in.